Letters of John Nelson Darby, Volume 1, Letter 171E, of 1031. p. 297. Dearest Dr. Cronin, the London Bridge meeting has been for some time on my mind, and I judge that something must be done. Several causes contribute to its want of influence, and even jealousy as to it, which exists in certain gatherings. Formerly there were many brethren, as and others, who exercised a pastoral care, which had a great influence on individual blessing and calmness. Souls were thought of more, decisions of assemblies less, though arrived at when needed. The number of brethren and meetings was less, and the great body of brethren more in one meeting in Rawstorn Street, the rest being succursal, so to speak. Now there are many almost equally important meetings. Hence the difficulty of maintaining the common action is a real one, but if there is a hearty loving desire to do it, it can be effected, surely, with God's gracious help. These affairs of Mr. have increased the prejudice against London Bridge. I regret altogether still the course of, and your own. The more I reflect, the more I feel that it did not rise above the circumstances to act with God in them, but was under their influence. The last act of, finished the matter, and though the brethren at London Bridge did not go with you too, the public effect was the same. Seeing this, did his best to destroy its influence, and to awaken jealousy. But I am satisfied that at present in those most uneasy as to the action of London Bridge there is no desire for independent churches, but quite the contrary, nor do I see any great difficulty save in the case of discipline. I should take the ground, not of contesting the duty of the local gathering to investigate and form its judgment, it must be practically so done, you do so I am persuaded at but that if they hold there is one body in London, they ought not to impose their judgment without giving an opportunity to others to know what decision they had come to, and make their representations if they had any to make, which might often arise. What seems to me ought to be done would be to invite the chief men among the brethren from every gathering, writing to one only, to propose their coming together to confer upon it, not forming a decision to be announced, but what could be proposed to all the gatherings when it had been laid before the assembled brothers. Thus, suppose I wrote to, or, at Deptford, to propose that the brethren there who were interested in the general course of the gathering should come, say to, at the Priory, and the same to the rest, and then they consulted and arranged that the brethren really interested in the gathering should meet in any given place on a Saturday evening, the place being agreed on by all, and that the responsibility of these brethren should be felt. It would then have to be considered how in cases of discipline, in receptions it would go on, I suppose, as usual, matters should be arranged. My impression is that the local gatherings must come to a decision, nothing would hinder consultation on Saturday evening, but they owe it to the others to certify it before it is finally executed. They can come to the decision, and then communicate it through the Saturday evening meeting to all the others, and like a person proposed, it would be final if nothing were said. If any who heard it had any difficulty, they could communicate with the brethren of the gathering who had come to the decision. But this would be considered when together. You must remember there is not a body formed and grown up in one gathering, nor any practical body of elders acting together among the saints as a whole. One must look therefore to God to draw out of what materials exist, what he can form to help the saints. And if they help one another all will be well. The brethren, on consultation, will see what is to be done in ordinary cases of discipline, but they should remember that in sending the names of others as put out, they impose on other brethren the task of registering their act without any power even of objecting. If there be no intercommunication, then we have independent churches, or at least are on the way to them. You may regret the young men, but you must look at the main point, the union of brethren who care for the saints, in common care. In our former Friday morning meetings they were not there, and if one may regret their absence, the union of service in the gatherings is first to be considered. Do not feel uneasy at young brethren growing up into service. We were all young once. I am delighted when I see them getting into serious service, but I do look for pastoral care. The regular work of evangelization is more to me than excited meetings, but if the Lord converts he converts, and we must rejoice. The excitement of the moment will pass away, what is solid will remain. One has to go through it, like all else, with God. The power of God is shown in all patience and long-suffering with joyfulness. I am at a conference of laboring brethren here for a few days. There is blessing in the neighborhood, and a large number of saints, but devotedness and laborers everywhere are wanting. But there has been a great deal of blessing. I must close. Affectionately yours, beloved brother. Saint Agreve, August, 1860. 51171E.